We at it, y'all. We back here on HiTTinCornerz with Melvin Farmer and Angela Birdsong. I don't know why I keep calling you Windbush. I don't know. Maybe Windbush is on my mind.
Well, I guess her song is on your mind.
Yeah, I guess it is. But anyway, we out here today, and we're gonna let Angela give us an introduction on what's going on today and what we're gonna talk about and where we're coming from.
Well, right now we're recording from Michael Concepcion's estate and HiTTinCornerz on Saturday, March 24th, 2018. And I was talking to Melvin earlier, and I'm not sure if this is the topic that we're going to delve into, but today we know that the youth are marching on Washington. And I asked him about that. How does that affect the black and brown communities? And he said, well, why don't you say for yourself?
Well, my response was, I don't actually think that it actually affects the inner city. It affects the nation as far as a whole, but as far as senseless gun violence pertaining to the inner cities in the city where I come from, why we not protesting out here? That's an isolated incident in Florida, Columbine, and it seems like we're rallying up for when a white kill another white. We're talking about their rights to purchase a weapon, which is once again a national level, but those guns aren't being purchased to suppress me. The community I come from, nobody uses ID to buy no weapon. So, you know, that's for taxpayers. It's my opinion that it's nothing wrong with it, but it seems like it's always the excuse when a white commit a crime. And how many years have we seen the National Rifle Association be challenged by the Congress, the Senate, and it's the same drumbeat over and over and over again. They'll make it tougher to where you can purchase a gun for the consumer, for the normal citizen, but what happens in the inner city is they'll create 10, 20 gun laws, use a weapon now, go to the feds and get life. So you have two different types of gun controls.
So what should the black community be doing when it's this heightened protest going on?
There's nothing wrong with protesters, but you still, let's use what they're doing. A white person went and killed another white. The whites are scared that this could affect their children. So they cleaning their own backyard. They ain't asking no blacks to come help them. They chose to go help them. They was gonna do it regardless. Gun control. They was gonna do it whether a black helped them or any other race helped them. But now let us turn around and they didn't ask for gun control at them Chicago schools when them kids get shot at school every day. That been going on 30 years. But where's the gun control for that? But we'll run and rally to support another race as opposed to cleaning our own backyard and supporting our own race. I don't care who purchased a gun. I really don't. And a lot of people don't. But we have to know the mechanisms of government. And when you're dealing with gun control, it's always a federal level to where it's a national issue. So you're looking at the whole of the land. But when it comes to the inner cities, the Atlanta, the LAs, the Chirocks, the New Yorks, the South Carolinas, all the places of oppression, then gun control doesn't matter. It's only that community controlling their guns as opposed to going out to make it tougher. You know, when a black kill is 48 hours, Angela, but when a white kill is I almost got away with it. I shouldn't have done this. It's always the excuse of for what they doing. Now all these every time it's a Columbine or something, the first thing they holler out, oh, it was mental illness. But it wasn't mental illness when the police killed A.J. Weber. It wasn't mental illness when all the kids get killed in the inner city. They don't talk about mental illness. But soon as a white come, you get to have a Amber Alert, a Megan's Law, 3 strikes law. But
So, what do you project may come out of today's protests or this whole movement that's going on?
which movement? The movement about
Well,
gun
the
control?
the huge movement from Parkland, Florida.
Well, what's gonna happen is the whites gonna make them another messiah. The youths. They'll start getting proper funding from Homeland. Everybody gonna make money off of this. And it's gonna probably bring an issue as opposed. You probably end up addressing mental health through this. Uh, Stricter interrogation or screening pertaining to buying the weapon. As far as a 17-year-old being opposed to being 21 years old. But it ain't gonna stop nothing. If somebody can buy a weapon, you can't dictate what they're gonna do with that weapon. So in the long run, I don't see too much changing other than more money being spent. Because they're isolated incidents. This is not an everyday occurrence.
Now, I did see some clips from the students who were not speaking from today, but working their way up today. And one young man, he did mention that we must not ignore the communities of color where there's been an overwhelming amount of senseless gun violence. So it sounds like they're being inclusive of, they're not excluding the black community or the brown community in this movement. If they are including black and brown communities, what should our role be in that movement with them?
Well, they are including black and browns within the communities. It's just not from our communities. It's from those that are, they got a targeted range. The youth that are in school and doing that. This movement here will not have no gang members and all that to be up there standing talking about supporting gun control.
How do you get the gang members involved?
No, well, that's a separate issue. The first thing is we're not going to label them gang members. That's the first thing. We just going to label them human beings like anybody else. And just like they have their calling and they in their lane. When it comes to that senseless gun violence, they need to step back and support these cats. So see, the game got to be changed. It ain't where we got to go support them, because what they do with gun violence or whatever laws they make, it doesn't matter to somebody that's on the streets that's breaking the laws. So if you want to bring them into it, like we do now on the HiTTinCornerz, we get and make it to where their voices can be heard, where otherwise they wouldn't be heard.
Now, earlier we were talking with Michael Concepcion, and he said that it's time for black and brown youth to learn how to invent things and stop being consumers. After the protest is over, let's say that they do allow other sectors of life to join the movement. The movement goes, some laws change, the NRA agrees with whatever changes happen outside of their hands if Congress decides to change some law. Now everybody goes back to their respective communities. It sounds like what Mr. Concepcion was speaking about was starting to take ownership in our communities and taking ownership of your path in life, taking ownership and what you're going to do and how you're going to do it, moving from being a consumer to being a maker and an inventor. How should that be carried into our community?
Well, first,
especially with the community that you come from, that you represent.
Yeah, well, first we have to create a dialogue amongst the inner city to where we can create what they call safe passes to where we're free to walk within our communities. And once that's done, like Mike was saying today, his thing is more so innovative to where we create our own and own our own. And what he mean by that is we can go learn technology and all that, but it's already been patented, basically. So you're really not owning that. But we have to be able to give the youths out here, like when your father say they shut down the music and they straddling the creative interest in the things that they had to do the same thing. We need to be able to make it to where they can create their own, own their own, like we've been doing. We've invented a lot of things in this nation over the years. And there's many more things that need to be invented, but it's a techno world now. And we lagging behind in the inner city schools districts when it comes to technology, to performing arts, and things of this nature. But once we get it to where a child or people can be able to express themselves free of mind, to be able to go to school, to not be fear of being hurt, to be able to just be a human being and live a human life, because a lot of times we take for granted that we living a good life and we're not.
So how do you reach back?
Well, I reach back by giving back. I try to stay in my lane. I try to tell and exhibit by my behavior that you can change your life, create dialogues amongst warring tribes, which I try to do. Also, we got HiTTinCornerz, which gives us a lot of leadway. You got Conversation Peace, you got Radio Justice LA. So I just try to open up a dialogue and create a conversation and keep it fair to where other people whose voices might not be heard or the issues might not be felt as important by, quote unquote, those that are supposed to be our respective leaders, and you don't get your time of day. I try to make it to where their plight and their causes be brought to light.
Well, I know earlier this week, or really just 2 days ago, you were, one of your friends have died at St. Andrew's Park. And I just wanted to make sure that I give my condolences to you and that we give our condolences to the Robinson family for their sudden, unexpected loss of their brother.
Yeah, we like to say rest in peace to Cuddy, Richard Robinson, and he died a couple days ago at St. Andrew's Park. Just go to show you again that tomorrow's not promised, and yesterday, the only thing good about it is that it's over. He's going to be missed dearly. Condolences to the Robinson family, condolences to Baby Joyce, the homegirl, condolences to Ed, and everybody else. It was a tragedy, but more so shocking that, because you just had seen him
3 weeks ago.
Not it wasn't even 3 weeks ago.
That
was about 2 weeks ago. Yeah, 2 weeks ago. And now a young man that looked like he was in perfect health has passed away, and we just like to give our condolences, not only to his family, but it's a lot of people that are dying in this city, naturally, unnaturally, suspect causes, and we want to give our condolences to them too, and we just want to get back to the community, man, and make it something where we can be proud to hold our heads up when we talk about the city of LA.
Okay, well, what else is going on with you?
Well,
that you think everybody would want to know.
Well, there ain't too much going on right now. You know, one day chicken, next day feathers, but we out here today to where we are.
Okay, I don't know if everybody caught that. You said, say that again.
One day chicken, one day feathers.
One day chicken, one day feathers. Oh my goodness. Mm-hmm. So, feast to famine.
feast of famine. That's how they go. So anyway, me and Angela Birdsong, we out here. We had came to discuss the project with Michael Concepcion out here at his estate, and he gave us a minute to sit back here and film in his backyard. And we want to thank him.
Yes.
We really want to thank him
Yes.
for allowing us here. And he trying to get me up out the streets. Well, actually, he doing it. He doing it. We can say, oh, Mike, my boy, he trying to do it. So you tune in for the next thing. This was just a snippet. Angela will probably be hosting a conversation piece coming up.
Yes. On Tuesday. Tuesday on Conversation Piece, March 27th on radiojustice.org at 8 a.m. and again at 12 p.m. That's Pacific time. I'm going to have Skip Townsend of Second Call, a second chance at loving life. He's going to be on talking about his project and what they do and how they help formerly incarcerated high-risk men and women to matriculate successfully back into mainstream society by giving them life skills, support, and also job training and job placement.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So there you have it. So tune in and catch in with Skip and Angela Birdsong on a conversation piece this coming up weekend. And we up out of here coming to you live in the backyard of Michael Concepcion's home. He was gracious enough once again to let us come up on here. And so we up out of here. And parting words, stay safe. It's the weekend. Drive safe. And always tell somebody you love them if you had that opportunity, because it might not be there tomorrow.
I love you, Melvin.
I don't know. You know, me and you've been having a rough day today. You need to do some apology. You got some more to do. You on the right track though, player. And we out.
Peace.